Good morning, class. So, to be honest, today I have something that I really need to tell you. Remember when I said the water cycle consisted of those four exact parts? Runoff, evaporation, condensation, precipitation? Well, there's kind of another part too. Really, a fifth part to the water cycle. We just didn't want to confuse you with that until we became such experts on the basics, like we are now. The name of that fifth part? Transpiration. Now, we talked a lot about runoff water, which then evaporates into the air. But what about water that isn't runoff water? Remember when we talked about the parts of a plant cell before our benchmark and how they differ from an animal cell? Well, one of the ways in which they differ was that plant cells generally have way larger vacuoles than animal cells do. Remember why that is? It's because they need a ton of water compared to animal cells. Do we remember why that is? Because they perform photosynthesis, and animal cells don't. Well, we said that water is never really created and it never really disappears. So what happens to all that water used by plants? Well, just like runoff water goes through a process in which it turns into a gas or a vapor, so does water contained in plants. As you should remember, water is one of the three things necessary for photosynthesis to occur, along with sunlight and carbon dioxide, of course. Well, it just so turns out that it is during this process, transpiration, that water becomes a gas. Now, in order for a plant to absorb CO2 from the air during photosynthesis, it must open its pores. What are pores, you ask? Pores are tiny little holes in the leaves that allow toxins and other things to get in and out of the plant. Did you know we have these too, humans? Every time we sweat, it's exactly how it gets out of our body. Those pores open up and allow bad things to escape our body via sweat. Well, when plants open their pores to absorb this carbon dioxide, it allows the water to escape too. As soon as the water escapes, it is exposed to open air, which means that it's also exposed to solar radiation, or solar thermal, heat from the sun, about which we spoke earlier. And what happens then? Yes, the molecules begin to warm, which speeds them up and turns this water into a gas/vapor. Just like runoff escapes into the atmosphere at some point via evaporation, so does the water contained in plants. So you see, class, once again, water is not lost, nor does it disappear. It just escapes into the atmosphere in a little more complicated of a way than just regular runoff water. At least I didn't lie about that part of the water cycle, right? It's important to remember, class, that after that water in the plant goes through transpiration, it simply enters back into the normal water cycle. It transpires, then it evaporates, then it condensates, and then it precipitates. Remember all those?